Hey guys, welcome to Lavender Mind. Today I have such a special guest, Miss Jackie B Grice. She is a wife, a mother, a co-author, a purpose coach, and business strategist. She is on fire. She has so many amazing things going on right now, and I am so excited to have her on the show. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. So glad to be here. So excited. Yes.
Yes, I am just amazed at all the things you have going on. I guess to get started, just to introduce yourself, like I'd love to know what got you into becoming a business coach. And also, if you could share, I love your story about, so Jackie owns a fleet business as well. And I love your story about like the beginning to the end, or not the end, but the journey that's still going on, just for people that are maybe starting a business, all the trials that y'all went through, maybe just a very brief um, intro to all of that would be awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh man, I tell you, it started, I'm a product of two entrepreneurs. My parents had an upholstery business but I went to school for engineering, but just always had the love for, entrepreneurship. And my fast forward, I ended up getting married. And, my husband came home one day and was like, "Oh, I want to start a charter bus company." And I'm like, what? So that sort of came out the blue. But, because I really grew up watching two parents work together in business, it wasn't that foreign for me. So, we started and just really worked really hard at building that business and just kind of put everything into it. Didn't have like what we have now, which I tell people, get business coaches, get mentors, not really having any of that, sort of just learning on the job, but ended up building a pretty decent size charter company and contracts with the government. And then COVID hits. So we were online to probably do our best year that we had ever done in business. Coming off of 2019 was just a great year. And January, it was so funny because we went to Dubai for New Year's for 2020. And I remember just the seeing the things over there. It was so incredible. And when I got off the plane here back in the States, I said, "Lord, I want you to take me where my feet can't take me." In my mind, I was thinking, "Oh, you're going to give me all these ideas like what I saw over in Dubai." And he did just that. It's, you know, so anyway, COVID happened and for the bus industry, because of the closeness of contact, it literally shut the business down. I mean, we had to furlough employees. And we ended up having one lady, she who stayed in the office with us. Everybody else went, other people found other jobs. And we were just kind of hanging on. And all the government stuff was coming out about like the PPP loans and the idle loans. And so I did all that stuff because in our industry, I mean, the equipment is so expensive. So, I mean, we were like monthly, it was about $250,000 worth of bills that went out. So I knew that anything we had saved up, eventually that would walk everything down. I mean, I felt like, after 6 months or so, we would be completely like done with anything that we had. So try to get these loans, try to get all this assistance. And for some reason, they kept saying, "We can't find your application. We can't." It was just like one thing after the other. So I went to my pastor and, I told him, I said, "I can't hear God. I know all these shut doors, all this stuff that's happening to us is for a reason. It's not just to take us out, but I can't hear. And he said, and one thing he would always say, he has such a good ear. And he said, the only thing I hear God saying is for you to be completely silent for 2 days. So I'm thinking, like, I need some of your connections. I need some, like, give me
Yeah.
someone at a bank that for me to go silent wasn't what I was expecting him to tell me. But I did it out of obedience. I sat under this tree in my front yard for 2 days. I would come in at night, and during those 2 days, God spoke. And the words that he spoke to me was to launch deeper. And that it was like, you have done a good job at building this business side, but you haven't done a good job at building this spiritual side, even though I was connected to church and had a relationship. But it was deeper than that. It was, to really show how you can survive in the middle of chaos, but to also show other people how to do it. That was the big thing that I heard God say, is that this isn't just for you, but this is for other people. And from there, that's kind of how the coaching and
Yeah.
the business strategy and all of that, it just started me just taking these little steps. And
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing and not easy to do. And talk about some resilience, but also obedience. That's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So, for listeners that are maybe struggling with um, barriers or anything holding them back, what advice would you give? You're sort of on the other side now. That was a couple of years ago, and I mean, your business is thriving. Looks like things are going so well. Um, what would you say to somebody who is um, just really they have that barrier going on? Like, what
Yeah.
work would you give them right now?
Oh, yeah. Is to really, the thing that really helped me was because I saw all types of barriers. It was, I've been doing this since college, from my first job, I've been doing this. And, how am I going to start now? How am I going to do this? This is all that I know. I can't, plus I felt like I was in an industry that was gonna die, in the middle of COVID. You're like, this is never going to really recover. It just seemed as though things were getting worse and worse. And the one thing that God really showed me, which I would say to anyone, is he said, look at what you have in your hands, sort of like the Shunammite woman with the vial of oil. What do you have in your house? So to instead of saying, what is it that I don't have? What is it that's limiting me? What is it that I do have? Because we all have something. And it forced me not to look at those barriers and those things that I thought were limits, but to really look at things in an abundant way, and that's what I did. I didn't look at, oh, I'm this age, I can't do this now, I can't. I just started to realize that I still have so much in my hands. And that's what I would say to people, is to refocus, redirect, take your mind off of the things that you think are limits, and look at those things that you do well, that you're gifted at, things that people tell you all the time, this is your thing, and focus on those things.
I love that so much. I mean, it's so important to have that abundant mindset. And it's so hard when you're in the thick of it to look at what you truly have. And I've noticed in your work, you say that so often, to just start where you are, plant those seeds where you are so that lavender mind can grow,
Yeah.
because yeah, I guess we just don't ever feel like we are enough, and it's obvious that God is such an integral part of your business. How do you use that with your clients? Like, if maybe their faith is, I don't know, how would you say that you use God in your coaching business and your business strategy? What are some tips that you think
Yeah,
help others to just lean on God when times are chaotic and tough?
absolutely. Is to really help them focus on their calling, because your calling doesn't stop when things get tough. They don't stop in bad times. They don't disappear. Your calling is your calling. If you really believe that it's your calling, and I try to get them to really focus on that. And the one exercise that I do is I have people write down about 20 things that they feel that it's their purpose, that they were put on earth for, and to really start to think. And it's amazing when they start to look at it, it's like, wow, I didn't even realize this. And you just continue to drill down. And as you do that, it's amazing how God will start to reveal things to them that sometimes we've forgotten about, sometimes we've discounted, some things that we think are minor because we compare what we're doing with what other people are doing. And whenever we do that, our thing is going to seem small and minute. Um, so yeah, that's something that I really get people to focus and lean on.
I love that so much because I think we're so busy doing all these things that we
Yeah,
don't ever take the time to write down all the beautiful things about ourselves and to really
yeah,
dig deep with that. And sometimes what seems so normal to us isn't to other people. And it is a special gift that God probably is definitely calling to use to help others. I love that so much.
yeah,
So I know you've got a book coming out. Before we
yeah.
get into that, I definitely would like to ask you, I know you have a book club, which this
Yes.
book club looks awesome. Tell us about that. And maybe if you have, for anybody, a woman in business, is there maybe one book that really um, kind of shifted your mindset or just that you would recommend for somebody that's maybe new to the scene of being a woman in business? A good
Yeah.
mindset book.
Oh, yeah. So we started a book club called Deeper Reads because we wanted to have that whole premise of reading to feed and not reading to finish. Because so many times we're just, going through books,
Yeah.
things like that, but really feeding our souls with the books that we read. And we started at the beginning of this year. The one book that I love is by Craig Rochelle, Winning the War in the Mind.
Oh,
That's been such a great book. We're in we read this book, but we are revisiting this book. It's called Grace Over Grind, and
oh,
it's a small short read. It's by an Shay Bynes, and it really speaks to women, how because we carry so much. We carry all the things with our family, with our children, our business, and we carry it differently than men. And sometimes it has forced us to get into this grind and this hustle and bustle. And that's not how God really designed us as women, to carry loads, and but to really lean on his grace. So that book right there, it's a short book, but it is really a powerful book. Just it starts to really make you think about. I know a lot of women. I always say I'm a recovering people pleaser, and you don't realize because you're trying to please everybody. You want everybody to be happy, and you really don't realize that that takes more energy
yeah.
than not. I didn't realize how much energy it takes and how much of that grind mentality that it takes to be a people pleaser. And because, so it really taught me, that book, just when you operate in the grace and you just kind of you have God as that business partner, and he's the one that you consult instead of all these other people that sometimes we do. It makes such a huge difference.
That sounds amazing. I am a recovering people pleaser as well, and it's taken a lot of help, but helpful books about it to deal with it. Well, tell me more about your book.
Yeah, so
How?
I'm I'm excited about a book that I am hopefully should be out in a few months, and it's about compounding opportunity, and whether it's in business or in life, and it's really about how we're so used to doing business or relationships in a specific, with specific people, a specific location. And this world is so abundant, and there's so many opportunities for us to build relationships and to build friendships and to build business, just to look at it in a way where we're looking at things from an abundance standpoint. It's almost like compounding interest, but it's using that similar principle, but how we build our business and how we build relationships, which, just like compounding interest, before you know it, the small amount has turned into a large amount. And it's that principle.
I love that, and it's
Yeah,
so contrary to everything that we hear on the news and in the world. So I think
yeah,
everybody really needs a little bit of that in their life because there is so much abundance, and we do have such a beautiful world. That sounds
yeah,
amazing. Um, if
absolutely.
you could, if somebody's feeling stuck right now, what would be like today? Somebody's listening to this podcast. What action step would you give them today to just get unstuck? Like one little action step.
The one thing, and it should relate to your audience because about, you're heavy on meditation and mindfulness. People really don't want to do this when I say about the silence, but
Yeah.
that is a key that will unlock so much, because a lot of times we need to silence our voice, the reasons that we're stuck, and just listen and just hear a solution. And the one thing I would have people do is just to say, what is it? What is the one thing in my life that's causing me to be stuck? Something as simple as that question. And then just get silent and listen. Yeah, what is that kingpin? I always say, what is that one thing that if you could change, would change your life? Like, it's it's usually one thing that is what we call like a kingpin, like when we bowl, that one pin that if you knock that pin down, all the other pins would not will fall. So sometimes just sitting quiet and asking ourselves, what is that one thing preventing me from being the person that I have dreamed of, that I know I'm worthy of, that person I know I'm called to be? What is that thing? And usually it's one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it's crazy how simple it is, but it's
Right.
hard to step into. And like you, I mean, there is resistance there, I guess, because it's scary to step into who you were created to be. But once you start to take those tiny steps and you do start to listen, you do really start to know how powerful you are with God on your side. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I love that so much. And I love that you say, God is in your boardroom.
Right.
I love that. I heard that and I was like, man. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so tell us, you have so many cool things going on. I love you've got a retreat coming up. I want to hear about that.
Yes.
Talked about your book. You've got this book club. I mean, you are on fire, my friend. So tell us about the retreat. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, so I started a few years ago just doing a local retreat, and the response was just, overwhelming. So we decided last year we decided to go to Costa Rica well, no, this year, 2025. Right. So 2025 January we went to Costa Rica, and it was the most amazing experience I'd ever experienced. I really just leaned into just disconnecting
Wow.
from, like, okay, I'm going away, kids, hey guys, if you need anything, ask your dad, whatever, unless it's an emergency. And we went away, and it was literally on a mountaintop in Costa Rica. And it was an encounter, you know, I would often say in business, just getting frustrated in building this new thing that I'm building with coaching, business consulting, content creation. It's a totally different world from transportation. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, is this thing going to do what I know, God, you're telling me it's going to do? You're looking at your followers, you're looking at all this stuff sometimes. And at times I would be like, I can't do this. I'm done. And the one thing that really happened to me on the mountain was that he showed me that I can't say that anymore. So I completely changed that. Like, I don't care how crazy it gets with my transportation business. I never walk away or leave a day saying, I'm done with this. These people are, I can't deal with people, this and that. So it literally changed my whole thought pattern. So we're doing it again, 2026, St. Lucia. And I'd love to invite you, your listeners, and all of that. Um, After reading Grace Over Grind, one of the things that she talked about was developing that Sabbath,
Mm.
being really intentional about having that one, at least a day. Some people you hear about going away on sabbaticals for months. And it really shifted me and my thinking with this retreat. It's 5 days, but I really see it more as a sabbatical because I think women, again, especially need this time for realignment, for to meditate, to get back, to just, I feel like because of work, because of life, because of all the things, like we say, all the things we hear, TV, all what, it doesn't matter what side you're on or what you believe, it's a lot. It's just a lot going on. And I think having to say, I'm going to take an intentional 5 days to get away, to reset, to come back in alignment with who God originally created me to be, without the bitterness, without the all the stuff that life tends to put on us. So that's what we're having. Yeah, I'm
Amazing. I love to, it's so counterintuitive to how we're maybe raised, our beliefs. I know I was taught to just, and my mom's amazing, but just to do and never stop. And I think as women, that's such a mentality. You feel like stopping is almost like quitting, but in that stopping and in that getting so quiet, you really do have that reset with
yeah,
God and who you were created to be. And I love how last year you really heard what you needed to hear for the whole year.
yeah,
That alone is just so amazing and inspiring. because
Yeah,
it's so hard to stop and get quiet. I mean, it really is. There's so
it
much
is.
action. Yeah, I love that so much. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any last words for us. You are just like doing so many amazing things. I definitely want to let everybody know. I'm going to leave in the show notes how to find you. Guys, she is over. She's on YouTube.
Thank you.
Thursdays, this inspiring, amazing, like she gives these little nuggets. Y'all gotta check her out. Like, I am so excited about all the things you're doing, and I'm definitely gonna look at that retreat. That sounds so amazing. But I don't know if you have anything you'd like to leave us with before we go.
Yeah, I'm just so grateful to be here to join your community. I'm going to really delve more into that. I think that I love, I'm just grateful to, this is that thing about compounding opportunity. It's just going beyond your regular circle, there's so much there, and you find that we're more alike than we are different, and how much we all can learn from each other and grow from each one another. And I just love for your community to check me out, and as we continue to help one another grow and reach as many people as possible. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it has been such a pleasure. You are on fire. You're doing amazing things, and you are listening to all the things that God is telling you to do, and you're not scared. And that is such an inspiration. So, thanks, guys,
Thank you.
for being here. And I hope together we can plant some seeds of resilience and joy. Y'all take care.
Thank you.